Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered abroad, and believers in the Messiah. Welcome, everybody. Good evening to you all. I hope that everybody has had a good day out there today, a great week. Of course, it's Friday night, which means it's time for us for Hidden Manna. Hey, Brother Max, how you doing? Peace.
Shabbat Shalom. What's up, bud?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Again, a good evening to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us tonight. For those people who are logging on, we certainly appreciate it. If this is the first time you're hanging out with us here at LMC, of course, I'm Pastor Dave. This is Living Manna Church. And be sure to download the app. Download our app. Be part of what we do here at LMC. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give hit the like button, hit the bell so that you're notified each time that we do go live. Make sure you say something in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. If you got comments and stuff as we're going through this, we'll be checking it every now and then to see the comments. And if there's a question or something, we'll try to answer as best we can. Got an interesting conversation for you guys for today. The title for today is Baal and Islam. This is really a huge subject. I doubt that we're going to be able to, go through the whole thing today, but we're going to touch some of it, and not only just a big subject, but certainly I guess you could say controversial to a point. In our modern culture today, because everything today is about multiculturalism, and we just had 4 years of open border. Of course, the current administration is putting a squash to that. But the idea of open borders has been part of really the rest of the world, all of Europe, and it really is it's really all the open borders are only the Western nations.
And
it's only the Western nations that are doing that. You don't get this in the Middle Eastern nation. They have no open borders there.
No, and of course they spin a narrative. If you speak up about it, you're racist.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I will tell you right now, my brother and I, we are both not racist. Spitting truth.
Yeah.
Right?
So, some of the stuff may be a little offensive, a little abrasive to some, but that's okay. It's so weird because we were talking before. We even kind of went online. You were talking about when you go to Chat GPT or I got the Gemini, and you try to look up stuff. It won't. Nothing will come up, or it'll give you such a little bit of information, but. It's because some of the questions I already had answers to. I just wanted to see what the computer's going to say, and you realize it's not a wellspring of free and unedited information.
Depending on what you're asking it, right?
Yeah, depending on what you're asking it. I've noticed it's very left. It seems like it's left.
Do you want to laugh real quick? It's part of the whole thing. The other day, as a matter of fact, I was on Chat GPT. And I asked it, I said, I just want you to do one thing for me. I'm going to ask you questions. Give me a yes or a no. And if you're not allowed or you can't give me a definitive answer, just give me, I made up a word like pineapple or Smurf. And I said, is there an initiative to, keep beef out of the hands of the public? And it gave the code word. It wouldn't say yes or no. Usually it's like, no, there's no, so it was pretty wild. But yeah, when you're trying to look, because we want to bring facts, right? This is a topic, that two brothers having a conversation, but when we bring you something, we want to make sure it's backed up, it's truth, right? To the best of our knowledge. We mess up. We're humans. We're flesh. We're going to, say stuff that, is wrong. And if we do, and we find out, we'll correct it, we'll make it right. But we're trying to bring forth these things. And
see, the information we're going to give tonight now, this isn't going to be an entire treatise on Islam. We could do that another time. But what we are going to share about it is verifiable. You can go out, you can look this stuff up yourself. It's out there. It's not hidden knowledge. You can read this by their own. If you want scholars, I guess you can call it the people of that run that religion. So, but the question is, why do this, right? Mm-hmm. Why bring up a topic like this? Because very often what you get, or what we've gotten in sort of the Western world, we have a very much, even if it's not the religious Western world, just the Western world in general is more like live and let live. Mm-hmm. You do you, we do us, don't bother us, we don't bother you, freedom of religion, all the rest of that. But we've got to realize the rest of the world is not like that.
Nope.
And unfortunately, there are groups that are taking advantage of that right in front of us. Absolutely right in front of us. And even when it's happening right in front of us, there are still people that refuse to acknowledge what's actually going on, or really, I guess, refuse to acknowledge like 1,400 years of history. Prior to the conflict between the West and the East, the conflict between Christianity and the conflict between Islam, because that's a real thing. That's just history. That's an absolutely real thing. And I in some of the reading and stuff that I did for this, it really sort of poo-poos the. It's kind of weird because it poo-pooed the Crusades, that they were terrible, they were wrong. And I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were bloody. It was horrific. I'm sure the Crusaders did horrible, horrible, horrible things. Men with swords, fighting other men with swords. That's what's going to happen. But what they say is, well, they were supposed to be quote unquote Christian, and yet they're doing all of this stuff. But what they don't tell you, what they forget to tell you, is that there was no crusade. The Crusades happened as a result of Islam quite literally taking over multiple Christian lands. And I know we don't think about this in this way, but Egypt was a Christian land. Syria was a Christian land. Lebanon was a Christian land. Iran was a Christian land. What we would call Jordan today was a Christian land. This is where Turkey. This is where the whole 7 letters to the 7 churches. Where do you think those 7 churches are?
Yep.
They're in Turkey. So the whole Middle East had been affected and touched by the gospel message of Messiah, and then Islam comes along and conquers each one of these nations, forcing them to either convert or die, or if you don't convert, then there's you got to pay a jizya tax. And so they took over Egypt, and they took over. Well, it starts in Saudi Arabia, which we'll get into that in a second. It starts in Saudi Arabia, but they took over Egypt and Jordan and Syria, and just go all. And what they do, they destroyed the believing populations. And then they took over Spain. And they tried to get into France. They tried to go through Turkey into Europe, and finally, the believers of that day, the Crusaders, were like, if we don't stop them now, never again. England's going to be Londistan, and France is going to be Francistan, and because the concept of Islam is to take over what it touches, is to spread Islam by the sword. And so you can get down on the Crusaders, but it was a response to Islamic aggression.
The majority aren't coming to those areas to assimilate. They're coming to bring, know. And real quick before we get into it, I saw it today when we were doing some the research, just trying to find some stuff. I saw online. I don't know if you saw, a lady gets a knock on her door in England, somewhere in London. I don't know if it was in London or the outskirts, by an officer, a police officer, and she made a comment to a certain religion on Facebook and offended them.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't arrest her because it wasn't against the law, but the cop was demanding that she would make an apology on Facebook, and she was an American. She's like, no, that's freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want.
And, not in England. You can't anymore.
No, not no more, man. You can't even pray.
Not in England. I don't know what the statistic was, but they have, I think, 10 times as. Let's say Russia has arrested maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people for comments online in the last year. England is like 10 times that. It is not the freedom loving England that we were told about growing up in social studies in your history class. It's a very, very different land, and of course that goes right into the whole issue of the influx of immigration, because it's immigration one way. It's immigration from Islamic worlds. We say third world nations for them, but really it's Islamic nations into Europe. That it's only a one way immigration. You don't see tens and hundreds of thousands of Westerners from the European nations of a Christian background, of a believing background, immigrating into the Islamic nations. Because they wouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if people wanted to do that, they wouldn't have it. Here's a scary uh, interesting statistic. Let me see if I can pop this back up here. I was just scrolling through and I saw this. I saved a whole bunch of different things, but here's something crazy. Uh, these are the nations that have that restrict. Let me see if I can put this out here a second. These are the nations that these are the nations in the world where you are restricted from having a Bible. A Bible is not allowed. China, Brunei, Morocco, Algeria, Uzbekistan, Qatar, Yemen, Pakistan, Oman, Egypt, Iraq, Sudan. That's where it's restricted. Here's where it's actually banned: North Korea, the Maldives, Somalia, Libya, Eritrea, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkmenistan. Guess how many nations in the world that the Quran is either restricted or banned in?
Oh, none.
None.
Nope.
None.
Well, come on, man.
None.
You got Detroit head of police, praising Allah on during their meetings. You see that?
And people can say, "Oh, you're just beefing on Muslims," and everybody says, "Well, I'm sure there's good people. There's good people, I'm sure, everywhere."
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people I know that are believers that are not good people, but that it's because you're believing something doesn't make you good. But this is obviously not every individual, but the religion itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And where it comes from, and the people, I think, are just as deceived as people who worship Baal. Because from a biblical perspective, we would say, well, did the people who worship Baal, were they deceived? Well, we would all say yes, absolutely. The people who worshiped Moloch, were they deceived? Yes, absolutely. They were worshiping something that was not real or made up or satanic.
And I'm sure a lot of them still did good things too.
And I'm sure there were good people. I'm sure there are good people. This isn't about good people. This is about the spiritual history and where we are today. Because listen, you know what's going on here in New York. We're going to be actually, I think early voting already started last Sunday, and it goes up. The 4th is the actual day for voting. We'll probably vote this weekend, but here we are. We're faced for the first time because we're with Mandami, the guy that's running for mayor. Of course, you got Mandami, you got Cuomo, and you've got Curtis Lewa, and could now in today's culture, if somebody was running for I don't know for mayor. And as part of their mayoral platform, they went up there and said, "I'm going to be the first Hebrew roots Netzarim, even if they use the word Christian believer, Christian mayor." People would freak out.
Oh yeah.
Separation of church and state. You can't do that. We don't want to vote for religion. We don't want that. There would be. It'd be everywhere, all over the news. And yet, when I've listened to Mandami speaking, he always says, "I'm going to be I'm the first Muslim, will be the first Muslim mayor." How's it any different?
Yeah.
And yet
they don't want to say,
and yet it is. It is because nobody says anything. But so we'll be voting this week. So here we are. We're faced with probably the most influential city, not just in America, probably the world, New York, and there's a possibility that there may be a mayor that will be voted in from an Islamic background. And you've heard the things he said. He's it's just it's out there stuff. It's socialism. It's communism.
The people that surround him. The one gentleman, like I said,
I've heard some of the stuff his family does. They're out there. I mean, they're just out there.
But it's the same narrative, right, bro? That you brought it up. I think one of your services. That the same reason why we didn't hear about all these Christians that were being beheaded and killed all across the continent of Africa and everywhere. But no mainstream media wants to talk about that.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
So
I mean, I just personally, I just cannot vote for Cuomo after what that guy. Just all the scandals. He's just. I want to be kind.
Mhm.
He's an
Yeah.
abuser of women,
Mhm.
allegedly.
Allegedly, right? Yep.
There's all sorts of court cases, I'm sure, that are still
Yep.
pending. But
Yep.
what he did with abortion here
Oh,
in
yeah.
New York, that just
Yep.
disgusted me.
Yep.
And then, of course, the whole
Late
COVID
term.
thing.
Oh, yeah, and for those who don't know, back in the day, right, I think Trump gave him an actual warship. Remember the hospital ship?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
put
yeah.
people with COVID.
They had the
And
hospital
didn't use
ship.
it at all. He had,
Yeah.
the Madison Square, right? Didn't he have, like, huge
Madison Square
facilities?
Garden.
Yeah.
There was Jacob Javits Center,
Mhm.
which is huge. I mean, Jacob
Yeah.
Javits Center is
Yeah, I'm sure
huge.
people have heard of that. Yeah,
It
it's
was made into a hospital.
yep.
They had you're right, the Navy medical ship
Mhm.
right
Didn't
off.
use it. It kept all those old people in
Kept
their nursing, and they
yeah,
died because they were on
yeah,
top of each other.
on
Yeah.
top of each other. They were sick to begin with. They had
Mhm.
every sort of other ailment you could think about. Of course,
Yep.
if it was just a regular flu, it would have done the same thing to
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Look how fast a cold goes through, so you can imagine.
So I know they're saying, well, if you vote for Sliwa, it's a vote for
From
Mandami.
yeah.
It's instead you should just vote for Cuomo. Listen, he lost the Democratic primary.
Mhm.
His own party didn't want to vote for him. So
Yep.
now you want other conservatives, and you want conservatives to fix it.
Mhm.
Sometimes uh, we got to take our medicine. I guess sometimes you just deserve what you
Yeah.
deserve, and
Yep.
I hate the idea of thinking that, because honestly, my vote's going to be for Sliwa, but
Mhm.
I hate the idea of thinking that, because I got to live with it, right?
Yeah,
Or we all
yeah,
got to live with it. Well, you're
yeah.
not. You're upstate, so
I'm upset, yeah, but it'll still affect because even our
sure.
governor is backing him up, so
Yeah. Well, vote for Stefanik.
mhm.
Vote Republican down the ticket. Get
Yep.
rid of Hochul,
Did
because
you see all
she's
these real quick? I know before I don't get too much off topic, but did you see these New Yorkers that live in Florida? And they were saying, listen, if you vote for this guy, do not vote him in and then come down here to
and then
Florida to
come down
live.
to Florida.
He goes,
Yeah.
do not. He
Yeah.
goes, yeah, he was
I
adamant.
saw the same videos going on with people in Texas
Uh-huh.
and Tennessee, when people were coming from
Yep.
California.
Yeah.
He says, don't bring your politics here.
Yep.
You
You
guys
left your
messed up
state
your own
because you
state
messed it up. Now don't come here and try to mess it up.
and
Yep.
try to redo it. Yeah. So so we're and of course we're not the first city in
Mhm.
America to have an Islamic mayor. I just saw the video. I should have brought it up. Maybe I'll bring it up next week. But I saw the video of the guy, the preacher, who was at just a public like civics meeting. Just, everybody gets a chance. You go up, you get a chance to say your piece to the mayor, to the
Mhm.
deputy mayor, to, the chief police, all the rest of that. They're all sitting there, the city board, and the guy goes up and he's a preacher. He's a pastor.
Mhm.
He's been living in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, almost his whole life,
Mhm.
and he's got a church there. And he came up and they were renaming some streets. And the individual that the town wanted to name it after was a guy who was an absolute overt supporter of Hamas and also of Hezbollah. And so the preacher says, "Hey, that's not really a good look. Is that really something we should be doing? That's going to cause controversy."
Mhm.
And that mayor, who was an Islamic mayor, rips into him and tells him to leave. He can't wait for him to get out of the country, out of the state.
Yeah,
This is not your state. We're going to run you out. I'm like, oh my good. So if
Mhm.
you don't think that there is a problem, a conflict going on,
Mhm.
Dearborn, Michigan is not the Dearborn, Michigan
Oh,
we
no.
thought of 50 years ago.
Mhm.
Minnesota is not the Minnesota we thought
Nope.
of 30, 40 years ago. And it's
No,
not just there. It's happening in Texas. It's happening here in New York.
Mhm.
It's happening
Cambridge.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, all over
Yep.
Europe. I had a list of all the different mayors.
I
There's
did
like
get
10 or 15 of them in
yeah,
in
that's what I
England.
got. I just got that too from Grok gave it up. He said that it's verifiably 10 to 15 that that they can verify.
Right. So 10 to 15 Islamic mayors running the cities of England.
Which
And it's not just the mayor. It's the mayor. It's the
Yeah.
vice mayor. It's it's the city council.
Yeah,
London.
exactly. And while we're on that topic, I just want to give a quick little when I was doing some research. So 2016, during the census in Europe, there was 26 million professed Muslims. In 2020, 46 million.
Mm.
So you're talking, in what, 4 years, not even a 5 year span. So this is the last set was 2020. So if it went from 26 to 46, right? It just about doubled, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine now? Because
Well,
we're seeing it all over the.
I saw a video from Charlie Kirk. It's an older video, maybe like 2-3 years ago, and he was talking to someone who had come from an Islamic background, is now walking in faith in Messiah, and they were saying if they continue on the trajectory, even if they stop immigration right now, with the population that they have, because there's such a I did a message on this years and years and years ago. If a nation is under 1.3 children per couple, that nation's just not going to survive. You cannot repopulate your population at 1.3. You need minimum 1.8, 2, 2.2. You need more than 2 kids per couple. I know it says 2.2. How do you figure that out? They're just averaging everybody out. So that's why it comes to these weird numbers. But from 1.3 and under, your country's doomed. Yeah. I mean, it's doomed. You're gonna they're saying that's why we want all this influx. The problem is the birth rate of the people that are coming in as immigrants, predominantly from Islamic nations, they're having 6 to 8 kids.
Yeah, some of them saying 7.8 on their on the stats. Isn't that crazy?
In 20 years, as I was watching the Charlie, they were saying England is going to become a Muslim majority country. Yeah, you're going to go to England. It's not to go see Big Ben anymore or any stuff like that. And it's crazy. Have you noticed? Because you can't really. You get some of it on YouTube, but you got to go to like X. You got to go to Telegram. You got to go to some of the other ones. What is it? Instagram, Rumble, stuff like that. Rumble, and you see all the videos of just thousands and thousands and thousands of Muslim men praying in the street. Stopping traffic. And you see it in Times Square too. You see it in Times Square. They get together in Times Square. They take Times Square is all shut down there, and they all do whatever their prayers. We have it here too. There's ordinances now in certain parts of the Bronx where they have the call to prayer at 4:00 in the morning, like the old church bells back in the day that would ring. If you happen to be the guy living right next to the church with those church bells, I'm sure you were not happy in the morning. But if it rang at 9:00, that's one thing. Yeah. But if it rings 5 times a day, starting at like 4:00 in the morning, I'd be a little upset. But the whole culture is changing there. Yeah. But if so, you see all of these videos with just thousands and thousands of people. They're doing their prayer. They're bowing down. They're facing Mecca. Except you don't see that in Qatar. You don't see that in Turkey. You don't see that in Islamic nations. They don't go out to the street and block the streets, and they don't do that. They do that here in the United States and in the Western world because it's a dominance thing. Because part of the religion is, like, we would say, well, we're going to go out, we're going to share the gospel, right? We want to share the gospel with everybody. All right, you want to share your faith. You want to tell people about Messiah. It's up to them to make their choice for it. But we're not taking over anything. The concept of Islam is to take over.
I think even Vance was saying, he goes, the concept of Christianity, of course, with his knowledge, he was just saying, but it made sense. He said the Christian faith still believes in free will, right? As a believer, like you just said, if you want to share truth, you leave it, right? We all know the saying, you plant the seed, you do this, and it's up to Yah for the Spirit to do the rest, right? We don't want to be the Torah police. We don't want to do that, but it's not like that.
No,
with this religion, yeah.
And I've seen multiple videos, including people from the squad, be it Ilhan Ilmar, what's the other one? Talib. It wasn't AOC. Well, AOC has her own thing with the Socialist Party, even though they're all part of the Democratic Socialists. But I'm talking about gatherings of Muslim believers. They're on video. So if you can't believe what they're actually saying, then what are you supposed to believe? And I've seen the videos where they are outrightly proclaiming, we're going to change everything. We're going to outbirth. We're going to change it. We're going to change the Constitution, change the rules. We're going to make this a land for, that is fertile to Islam. It's like, wait, what? What? That sounds like a takeover. And I know people get upset hearing that, but
Yeah, I think it wasn't Fox like News, like the big channel. It was like a subsidiary, like a like from a smaller city. They tried to grab one of the Senate, the Muslim lady. I forgot her name, because one of her and the constituents in her city were saying "Death to America." So
Yeah.
when she was trying to interview her, she kept on saying, "Oh, Fox, I'm not talking to you. You guys are a racist network." And
Oh,
she
yeah,
went,
yeah. That was
"Did you see
Talib.
that?" And she
Yeah,
went,
Talib.
and that's not racist, saying "Death to Americans."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
You know?
you had Ilhan Omar talking about 9/11 as some people did something on 9/11. Are you kidding me? Some
I
people
know.
did something
Something.
on 9/11. Are you
Mhm.
crazy?
Mhm.
So, and I don't want to sound like we're bigoted because people are coming from an Islamic background, but I want you to understand the spiritual reality of what's actually going on.
Mhm.
Because
The news
I've
isn't. Yeah, we need to. Yeah, go ahead.
I've talked to people before, good people, right?
Mhm.
Good. People that love Elohim, love God, um, and when they speak of Islam or they speak of Allah, I've even seen on online sometimes. They got this place in England where everybody goes and debates, and you got the Jews that go and they debate with the Muslims, and the Christians come and they debate with the Muslims, but they always speak from the point of view because they're trying to use the Quran against the Muslims to show all the fallacies of the Quran, of which there are many. But they speak of Allah on an equivalent level with what we would say Elohim, which is
Mhm.
one of the issues, I think, the problems with using like the generic word God that we use all the time.
Mhm.
Because from a Muslim perspective, well, God means Allah. So
Mhm.
therefore, Allah means God. And if Allah means God and Elohim means the God that we talk about, well, then Elohim and Allah mean the same thing because we're talking about God.
Mhm.
They are not the same thing.
That's right.
They are not the same thing. Elohim is not the same thing as Allah. You say, well, it's just an Arabic word that means God. No,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
no, 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 no.
Yep.
That's like saying Malak or Moloch
Mhm.
is equal to Yahuwah.
Yeah. Yep.
Would anybody say that?
Yeah. That's
Not
why we
anybody
have.
that knows who Moloch was,
Yep.
but they called him a god.
Hosea, right? Chapter 2, right?
So So here's so why is this so important? Why are we bringing this up? First of all, because we're living it. It's happening. All this open
Mhm.
borders around the world. There is a migrational shift happening everywhere, but it's only one way. It's from the Islamic nations into the Western nations. The Western nations, be it Germany, Sweden, England, France, Norway. They're all. I
Mhm.
think one of the only nations that's probably not having trouble there is Poland because they won't let anybody in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
true.
and of course, then the whole EU says, "Well, you guys are racist." He says, "But yeah, but we don't have any problems." So
Mhm.
so there's this, and of course, you got a clash of cultures here.
And
You,
what has the FBI been warning us for years about sleeper cells too? Right?
yeah. Did you
They
hear
know the
Trump's
ramifications. Yeah.
Did you hear Trump's speech at the UN?
A couple weeks ago. Yeah. About.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Yeah.
He ripped into this whole Islamic thing of what we're doing. He ripped Sadiq Khan, the guy who was the mayor of London. In fact,
Mhm.
when he went to England, he wouldn't even meet with the guy.
Mhm.
Wouldn't even, because they're trying to bring Sharia. They have already brought Sharia law
Yep.
into the culture of Europe.
Yep.
And but yeah, he realized he knows what's going on. He scolded Europe for the open borders for what they're doing to their countries, and he said,
Mhm.
you're not gonna have a continent.
Mhm.
It's not gonna be the Western world that we all have known historically. It's going to
Mhm.
be, and unfortunately, that's causing major conflicts of group against group
Yep.
in all throughout Europe.
Mhm.
And we'll get into some of those. Maybe we can share some videos on that the next time. But I
Yep.
wanted to do a little bit of a background dive for people tonight to realize how vital this is, or really how dark this is. Because when we're thinking about Islam, it's not the same thing as when we're talking about believers. It's not the same thing as talking about whether it's Christianity, you want to talk it, call it Hebrew root. I don't care what you call it.
Doctrinal. Yeah.
We're not talking about the same Elohim.
Mhm.
It is something very, very different. And here's just a little bit of background to give you guys. Um, Obviously, Muhammad is the one, at least the initiator of this. We'll get more into his backstory as to how he does it, because it's a dark, dark story. Supposedly a demon, what he thought was Satan, comes to him and gives him these visions. But we'll get into that later. The thing that I think is pertinent to us is that the worship that is called Islam today didn't just start today.
Mhm.
The worship, and we've all seen it in Mecca, in Arabia, or today called Saudi Arabia, uh, um, the Kaaba. I had to think of it for a second. It's the square box, and inside of it,
Big
of
black
course, is
one.
the
Yeah.
black stone. And when you go and you make Hajj, you come and you go to the well. You throw the rock at the pillar. You walk around the Kaaba multiple times. You get a chance to get into the Kaaba. You kiss the stone. You shave. You do all of that stuff, and that's stuff that they were doing in Arabia hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before Muhammad was even born.
Mm.
They were doing that because in Arabia, the Kaaba was already there. But in the Kaaba was 360 different gods. And it was probably the reason for 360, at least some of the reading that I did on it, is it was to reflect the year, a 360-day calendar or a complete circle. But every temple, even throughout just the pagan world, when you go to a pagan temple, Temple of Diana, whatever it is, every temple is dedicated to a single pagan god. Now,
Mhm.
there can be many other pagan gods that can be worshipped there, but there's something called the chief god. And that chief god, it's actually that god's, and when I say God, little G-O-D,
Mhm.
it is that god's temple. So, like I said, you can go to the Temple of Diana, and Diana would be the primary thing there, but you could worship 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 other lesser gods, but it was called the Temple of Diana. That because she was the chief god. Same thing in people's homes. People who could have had multiple idols in their home, but in the
Mhm.
center of their home on their shelf, that there was a chief idol. That was
Yeah.
their family idol or their tribe idol. We
Mhm.
see this in the story of Jacob when he takes Jacob, and Jacob takes his wives
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
He leaves it, and she takes the family
Family. Yeah.
idols.
Mhm.
Right, and of course Laban, follows them. So this is something that was in the culture. So in the Kaaba, the Arabians there worship many different gods
Mhm.
until
Even remember the movie 300, the Persians when they
yeah,
in the
yeah,
tent.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Until, and I'm going to probably butcher this name. I'm gonna do my best to say it. Amir ibn Luhai, Luhayy, a merchant who brought back a god called Hubal. Hubal is the way I guess we would spell it today. But he brought it back from a trip to what we would call today Syria, the area where historically the Moabites, in fact, and some of the Islamic literature says he brought it back from the Moabite people, the
Mhm.
descendants of the Moabite people. And that was their chief god. Um, that and so this Hubal is brought back by this particular individual, and it becomes the chief god of the Kaaba. It becomes the chief god of a tribe there called the Quraysh. The Quraysh eventually are the tribe from where Muhammad comes from. So like a family would have a chief god, the Quraysh chief god over time became Hubal. There were other gods like Alat, would be a feminine version. Allah would be a masculine version of it. We
Mhm.
see this when Nehemiah is building the walls, and some people have to work, other people have to stand there with a sword because the Arabians were coming up and trying to disrupt the building of the wall. And one of the guys who came up was Sanballat. The name
Yeah.
Alat, it
Mhm.
was reflective of the gods that they worshipped in Arabia.
Hmm.
Just like you would say Daniel, God's name was in Daniel's name.
Mhm.
The Arabs did the same thing, right?
Mhm.
So Alat,
Yahoo. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So Hubal becomes over time becomes the chief god of the Kaaba. So all the thing about walking around it, kissing the stone was what they did to Hubal.
Hmm.
He was the chief god. He was the chief god of the Quraysh. That was the god that Muhammad's family and his tribe worship. And then, of course, Muhammad eventually comes in, gets rid of all of the other idols, and keeps the Kaaba, which is called the house for Hubal, and the worship of Hubal is now called Allah. But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That thing is Hubal's temple, or his place of worship. Hubal is Allah. Allah is Hubal. The question is, who's Hubal? Because he doesn't come from Arabia. He comes from outside Arabia. He comes from Syria, from the Moabites. This is important because anybody who knows their Bible, obviously people are going to know the answer to this question because we're doing it. But what was the chief number one religious obstacle, monkey wrench thrown by Satan against the people of Elohim from the time that they get out of Egypt all the way till the days of Messiah? What God plagued them?
Yeah, Baal, right?
Baal. Now we say, Hubal, is that the same thing? Yes, it's probably a derivation, an Aramaic derivation of Ha-Baal or Habal, because we would say we're probably familiar with Ha-Satan. It just means the Satan, the deceiver. Hubal is the same as Habal, the Baal. And where does he come from? Where does the merchant get this god as he's doing all his merchant stuff? From the Moabites, from the Syrians.
Yep.
So let's just do a little bit of a dive here. Everybody, go back with me if you guys have your Bibles. We're gonna pull it up here to the book of Judges, because this is right in the beginning. It's not like it's hard to find. It's actually everywhere. The worship of Baal, and what a hard time it was with it. As a matter of fact, before we even get to that, let's do that. Judges 8 and verse 21. Let's take a look at this. So this is the, let me do this here. There, can everybody see that? Actually, maybe do it here. Yeah, that's better. All right, so this is Judges 8. I'm gonna pick it up at verse 20. So this is the story of Gideon. All right, Gideon gets called, the whole thing. He doesn't want to go. He finally goes, and he's led, and they fight it because the Assyrians keep coming in and taking the crops, killing the people. They go out, all this stuff. So Gideon leads an army against them. And finally, he gets the victor, and he's chasing them down. And some of the leaders of the Assyrians, because the worship of Baal was an Assyrian thing. It was a Mesopotamian thing. In Persia, in Mesopotamia, instead of the name Baal, it was Bel, but it meant the same. It was the same God. It was the same idea. So here it is. He's chasing them down. It says, and he said to Yether, his firstborn, rise and kill them, the leaders of the Syrians that they're hunting down. But the youth would not draw his sword. He was afraid to do it. That's got to be a tough thing, to hack a man apart with a sword.
Yeah.
That takes a special kind of heart.
Think about people who've gone hunting, just taking down their first deer. It's hard to pull that trigger. I can't imagine.
Oh man, I remember the first time I killed a bird with a BB gun. I felt terrible.
Was it mine that time? Was that?
I
don't want to say where it was, but
we're on Long Island somewhere.
Yeah, it was on Long Island. It was mine. I wanted you to try it.
Did I?
You were living in a little apartment.
I felt terrible, man. I mean, it's one thing if you're gonna
feathers, remember?
Yeah, it's one thing if you're gonna shoot it and eat it. Yeah. I get that, but I didn't think it would hit it.
I think you were just verifying. I said how accurate it was, and you just wanted to test
it. It was accurate. It was accurate. So I couldn't even imagine, hacking down a man. So this young guy, he can't do it. I guess maybe if you're actually in battle and you're defending your life, that's one thing.
And even a sword is different than a gun, because
yeah. So this young man is told to go ahead and kill these two men, and he just can't do it. It says, but the youth would not draw his sword. For he was afraid. Then, and these are the people that they're coming against. Then Zeba and Zalmunna said, rise yourself and fall on us. For as a man is, so is his might. So Gideon obliges him.
Mm-hmm.
So Gideon arose and killed Zebah and Zalmunna. And look at what it says.
Mm-hmm.
And took the crescent ornaments which were on their necks, meaning the moon.
Yep.
The worship of the moon god, of which Baal is associated with, of which, of course, when it becomes Hubal, it is the moon god of Islam, which the symbol is the crescent moon. It starts all the way back here. And who are these people? They're the Assyrians, and they come from the area where the Moabites are. This is the God we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people of Yah are fighting this right from the beginning.
Yep. And they
right
were
from the beginning.
From Ishmael, right? These were the Ishmaelites?
Well, there's two things, right? So there is the, and you see it in some of the Islamic literature. They say that, well, the people of Arabia there were Ishmaelites and children of Hagar. And maybe, possibly, who knows for sure. But if they are, I forgot where it is. It's in Psalm somewhere, where it tells us that the children of Hagar and the Ishmaelites no longer believed in the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were worshiping the gods of the nations. So fine, okay, if that's the case, it wasn't the God of Abraham that they were worshiping. Either way. But so here it is, right up in front. It doesn't identify it as Baal, but we're talking about Baal. But look at the ornament there. On their, they were crescent moon ornaments on the camels' necks. Then you get Psalm 83, which is supposedly the psalm of the nations that are going to come to battle against Israel, maybe a 10-nation alliance, or maybe 10 basic nations with others under it. Verse 4 says, they said, come and let us wipe out Israel as a nation, and let the name of Israel be remembered no more. For they have conspired together with one heart. They have made a covenant against you. And listen to the people who make the covenant against them. The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites. So we're talking about them. And the Moabites who worshipped Baal. Remember, the Moabites weren't even allowed into the temple, close to the temple. And I think Ruth is a Moabitess, which is kind of a weird story because she comes from a people that absolutely hate the people of God.
Yep.
Which is
grafted
in, wonderful story. But she comes from the place of Baal. And the Hagarites, Gibal and Ammon, which would be Jordan today, Amalek, Philistia, southern Philistines, with the inhabitants of Zoar, that would be up by Syria, Asher, also joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Selah. Do to them as Midian, as to Sisera, as to Yabin, as to the Wadi Kishon, who perished in Endor. Sounds like a Star Wars thing, right? Who became as dung for the ground. Make their nobles, these nations that come against them, make these nobles like Oreb and like Zeeb, and all their princes like Zebah and Zalmunna, whose worship, their idols, were on the necks of their camels, which were the crescent moons that we just read in Gideon, that they destroyed. So if you think about it, all these nations, if this is an end time thing, all these nations that come against Israel, what would today, in our culture today, what would they all have in common? Well, if you're talking about Jordan and Syria and Lebanon and part of Persia and Gaza, they all do have something in common. Islam.
Yep.
They're all Islamic nations today. Back then, they would have all had some sort of Baal worship or Baal worship. Depends on how you say it.
I know. I'm just backtracking. Is that the same Endor, or the witch of Endor?
I was thinking witch of Endor. Yeah. I was thinking Star Wars.
It does sound
right. Isn't Endor where the
come on, bro? It's
what are they
Spielberg.
called?
It's Spielberg.
The little furry things.
Oh,
Oh, what are they
Ewoks?
called?
The
Ewoks.
Ewoks?
Yeah, wasn't that where the Ewoks are from?
Yep. Come
I
on,
didn't know that.
half of these writers are Jewish. Yeah, Spielberg. What's his
I
name?
didn't. I
They know
didn't
all
know
these
that.
names.
I didn't know the Ewoks were Muslims.
That's funny.
All right, so let's follow this through a little bit more. So when the Northern House, let me go to a different screen, so it's just you and I here. So when the Northern House and the Southern House they split, right? Jeroboam, Rehoboam, they split the 10 nations to the north, the two to the south, Judah and Benjamin.
Benjamin, a little bit of Levi. You got the temple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Levi's he's a little bit everywhere. But the ones to the north, they begin to do their own worship. They change their own calendar. He puts up the two golden calves, and they go from that. And then by the time you get to the story of Elijah and Ahab and Jezebel, the whole northern house is now worshiping who? Baal. Or Baal. The whole story of Elijah and the fire coming down is against who?
Yeah.
Baal.
Hey, the whole story of Josiah, right? King, when he comes in, what does he start doing? Getting rid of all the prophets of Baal, man. He tricks them.
Yep.
He's tricking them, right? Killing them, and that's a good story. I forgot about that one.
It's crazy. So, and it's actually even before Judges. Let me pop something up here, because this becomes the issue all the way back in the beginning. Let me pop this up so you guys can see it. Here it is, Bamidbar, or Numbers chapter 25. And this is at the end of the story of Balaam, right? Balaam is hired.
Yep, from
Baalim. Balaam is hired to curse the children of Israel.
A lot of bays. Balak hires
Balaam.
His
name had that name in it.
Yep.
He had the name in it. And of course, the story, every time he tries to do it, he tries to curse them. He winds up blessing them, or Yah turns it into a blessing.
Three times, right?
But he finally figures out a way to actually curse the children, to get Yah to curse his own people. Because if we can get them to worship other gods, and he uses sex, the whole idea of the temple prostitute, all sorts of crazy sexual acts, men with men, women with, men, women, everything, animals, all of that, bring it all together. And it was called Baal Peor. And it says, and Israel dwelt in Shittim, and the people began to whore with the daughters of, and look at where it is, the daughters of Moab, where Baal comes from, where the guy Amir ibn Luhai takes Hubal back to Saudi Arabia and makes it the chief god of the Kaaba that Muhammad worshipped, and made it his chief god, the only god in the Kaaba, and it still is today, following the same practices they did all the way back then.
Yeah, because with the Baal worship, they also did the fertility worship, right?
Yep.
And all the what do you call it? Astrological?
Astrological. Yeah. It says, and they invited the people to the slaughterings of their mighty ones, so they're worshiping Baal, and the people ate and bowed down to their mighty ones. Thus Israel was joined to Baal Peor, and the displeasure of Yah burned against Israel. So right from the beginning, what quote unquote God is the arch nemesis of the people of Elohim?
Yep.
Baal. Now, would we ever say that Baal and Yod-Heh Wav-Heh are the same thing? Of course not. I mean, how would anybody who has a half decent recollection of their Bible would say no, they're not the same thing. You can call them a god, but it's not the same thing as Yahuwah. It's not the same thing. And so again, you use the word God and you lose so much definition, because what exactly are you referring to? Are you referring to Baal as a god, or are you referring to God of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Because they're not the same thing.
Right. Before me.
No other mighty ones before him. I know you could say it's a generic word. Yeah, okay, but the meaning is not generic. The meaning is very, very specific. So here, right from the beginning, was the issue with Baal. So let's let's jump into another one. So they got the whole story of like I said, Ahab and Elijah calls down fire and all the rest of that. Eventually, the northern house gets judged. Here is the book of Hosea. Let me get to it. The book of Hosea, and let's start in chapter 2. Right. So the whole book of Hosea, we know the northern house, both houses are being judged, but the northern house is going to be scattered. But eventually, Yah says he's going to eventually bring them back, but not this generation. He's going to wipe them out. Mm-hmm. And here's part of the reason of what they were doing. So why does Yah allow the whole northern house to be scattered, wiped out, done away with?
Do you want me to read any of this? Or
yeah. If you want to read
it a little bit bigger, I don't want to mess you up. I don't know if you can.
On this, no, I can't. Let
me give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up on my phone.
That's PM's department.
So what do we got? We got
Hosea chapter 2 and verse 16.
Starting at 16 and 17. Okay.
Yeah, let me get down there for everybody. Actually,
start at 14.
Yeah. Start at 14.
All right. It says, therefore, behold, I will allure her, and will bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfort to her. I will give her vineyards from there, and the valley of Achor as a door of hope. She shall sing there as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up from the land of Egypt. And it shall be in that day, says Yah, that you will call me my husband, and no longer call me my master. And if you look in right there in the version I have, in the Hebrew, it's Baal, that word. For I will take from her mouth the names of the Baals, and they shall be remembered by their name no more.
So what were they calling Yah?
Mm-hmm.
Baal.
Yep.
Now you could say Lord, but it's not one Baal. They're calling him by many of the names of Baal.
Mm-hmm.
But they were equating the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, with the God Baal, and all of the different variations of him. That's a problem. That was a problem then. Again, the arch nemesis of the people of Yah, the thing that brings the downfall of the people of Yah, is indeed Baal and its worship. Yeah. Here is the same book, Hosea and chapter 9. Let me jump over there real quick. Did I skip it? Yeah, I sure did. Hosea and chapter 9. So it's just a little bit further on in the same book. He's going to mention something else around verses start at verse 9. Do you have it? You want to read it?
I just closed.
All right.
I got it. Wait. They have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeah or Gideon, right? He remembers their crookedness. He punishes their sins. I have found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first fruits on the fig tree in its beginning. They themselves have gone to Baal Peor and separated themselves to shame and became as abominable as that which they loved. And Ephraim is like a bird. Their esteem has flown away. No birth and none with child and no conception.
So he's referring back to the sins of the past, and he's equating them that the children of Israel have gone down to, like they did at Baal Peor. They're doing the same thing.
Yep.
So again, just other verses just to show you this is consistent
throughout. Yeah.
That Baal is an issue. Is a terrible issue. So let's jump into some New Testament real quick so that we can make a transition here. Here is let's see, Matthew chapter 12. We'll start there. It's in Matthew and it's also in Mark. But here's Matthew chapter 12 and verse 22. So here's the master. He's going to heal someone that's demon possessed. It says, and they brought to him one who was demon possessed, blind and dumb, and he healed him, so that the blind and dumb man both spoke and saw. And the crowds were amazed and said, is this not the son of David? But the Pharisees, when they heard it, said, this one, meaning Messiah, does not cast out demons except by Baal Zebul, which means it can mean Lord of the Flies, or it means Baal the Prince, the ruler of the demons. The ruler of the demons. So Messiah then goes on to say he knows their thoughts, all the rest of that. And he said, and so with regard to Baal-zebul or Baal, verse 26, he says, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then does his reign stand? And if by Baal-zebul do cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? Because of this, they shall be your judges. Messiah equates Baal-zebul with Satan.
Yep. One-on-one.
With the devil.
Yep.
He's telling us that's who you're claiming I'm doing this by. You say Baal-zebul, but it's really Satan. It's not my words.
Yep.
That's the master's words. He's telling us who is the one trying to destroy the children of Israel, from Balaam to book of Hosea, to the book of Judges, to Gideon, the Assyrians, to the Moabites. Who was behind the whole thing? Baal was. Who's the one behind Baal? Satan is. Always has been, was all the way up to this point. But here we get a very, very clear definition. And here also is Mark chapter 3, same account, but Mark chapter 3 and verse 22. Let me zip through this real quick. And the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, he has Beelzebub, and he cast out demons by the ruler of the demons, and calling them near, he said to them in parables, how is Satan able to cast out Satan? So he says, we're doing it by Beelzebub. And he says, who's Beelzebub? Satan.
Yep.
Satan. And it's Ha-Satan, just like it would be Hu-Baal or Ha-Baal. So then we get from the Islamic perspective on this, that it is Hubal that is the chief god of the Kaaba. The god that the Quraysh people, of which Muhammad comes, worship. They called him Allah even before that. The word Allah was used of Hubal before that, and certainly it is the term that Muhammad uses. And there's a story of Muhammad's father who goes and prays about a decision that he makes with his 10 sons as to, whether to kill one and sacrifice. And he goes to a witch to get
for protection, right? He knows that.
Yeah, what I could do instead of killing my son. The witch says, I got to go to my familiar spirit. I got to go to my demon. Let my demon tell me, and then I'll tell you. And he gets this whole ritual they do with arrows. But it says, just in verse, in the way the account goes, he prayed to Allah. He went to the Kaaba, the house of Hubal, and he prayed to Allah, and just over and over again, Allah, Hubal, Allah. And this is Muhammad's quote unquote father. Allah Hubal, Allah Hubal. They are the same being.
Yep. Isn't it funny how it comes full circle? No pun intended. How they walk that circle around.
Well, right? So here's it comes full circle. Good. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it. So here's this is crazy, right? Here's the book of Second Esdras, which not a lot of people have read. Phenomenal book, phenomenal prophecy, so detailed, so intricate, so crazy. This is the only place where we find out what the beast was that Daniel saw that we don't get a description of. It's in this book. We find out it was an eagle that he saw. Because he says it was a beast unlike the other beast. And if you look at the other beast, one's a lion, one's a bear. What's the other one? A leopard.
Yeah.
And he says, but this fourth beast was unlike all the rest. Well, if you look at the lion, the bear, and the leopard, what type of beasts are they? Land animals. What's the eagle?
This one's, yeah.
A flying. It was unlike the rest of the beast. It was a terrible beast. And he goes to describe, well, in Esdras, we actually get what the description of that beast was. It was an eagle with 3 heads and all sorts of crazy things and great prophecy. So he's talking to us about the end times, telling us about the end times, the coming back of the Mashiach, all of that. And look what's going to happen in the Middle East at the land pointed at the land of Israel. This is mind-boggling. I'm starting at verse 27. Already calamities have come upon the whole earth, and you shall remain in them. God will not deliver you because you have sinned against him, talking to the house of Israel. What a terrifying sight. I hope everybody can see this. Let me highlight this here. What a terrifying sight appearing from the east. So from the east of Jerusalem, these armies are going to come. This group of nations are going to come.
Mhm.
But look at what the defining characteristic of them is.
Yeah.
The nations of the dragons
yeah,
of Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess where Mecca is?
Mm-hmm.
Guess where Muhammad started this whole thing? Guess what the Quraysh were worshiping in Mecca around the Kaaba for a long time before Muhammad ever got there? Hubal, the moon god. And they're still doing it today.
Mm-hmm.
And a dragon who is who? Satan.
Yep.
A religion comes out of what we would call Saudi Arabia today, but there is no Saudi Arabia back here. The nations of the dragons of Arabia. So if what comes out of Arabia is the dragon, what comes out of Arabia that now all the other nations around Israel are all part of? Islam.
Crazy,
Islam.
huh?
Here, back down to verse 31. And then the dragons, the nations, remember their origin, shall become still stronger. And if they combine in a great power and turn to pursue them, then these shall be disorganized and silenced by their power and shall run and turn and flee. I think it's probably talking about the whole Gog-Magog type battle here that we're reading in Esdras. And I know it's not a big definition of what Esdras is, but I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
How consistent is that?
Mm-hmm.
How consistent is that the description of the religion that comes out of Saudi Arabia is identified with the dragon. Messiah identifies it with Satan. Beelzebub identifies it as the first ones bearing the idols of the crescent moon on the camels of Zalmunna and whatever his name was, Zeboim.
Yeah, both Z.
That Gideon's supposed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from the area of the Moabites, where the guy goes from Arabia and gets the idol Hubal from the Moabites. Come on.
Yeah, it's wild.
Come on. How many connections does there have to be before you begin to realize, oh my goodness, as much as things change, they remain the same, and everything is cyclical.
Yeah.
And
good,
and now here's the last one. I know we're running out of time already. So let's fast forward in our thinking. In fact, let me see if I can pop this up. So let's fast forward in our thinking here to the book of Revelation. And Revelation chapter 12. Let me pop this up so everybody can see this. There we go. Oh, no, wrong one. Here we go. Revelation chapter 12. I saw a great sign in heaven, a woman clad with the sun, the moon under her feet, on her head a crown of 12 stars. It's Jerusalem. It's Israel. Same prophecy Joseph sees, a vision Joseph sees. And she's pregnant. She cries out in labor. She gives birth to a son, the Mashiach. And there's another sign was seen in heaven, and see a great fiery red dragon, the serpent. And he absolutely identifies who he is. She bears a male child who is to shepherd the nations with a rod of iron, the Mashiach. Her child was caught away to Elohim and to his throne, the resurrection. And the woman, that is Israel, flees to the wilderness where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished there 1,260 days. And there came to be fighting in heaven. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought, but they were not strong enough. And here it is, verse 9. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, or Beelzebub, or Hubal, or Baal, or Baal of Peor, or Baals, or any other version of it you want to give, who has been going after the people of El right from the beginning.
Yep.
And there it is, the dragon.
Wow.
The dragon. And it doesn't stop there, because it comes all the way down to verse 17. It says, so the dragon, he's enraged with the woman, that's Israel, right? The Jewish people, Judah. He's enraged with the woman.
Yep.
And he went to fight with the remnant of her seed. The battle doesn't stop after Messiah comes. Baal has another revision in Saudi Arabia, and comes out. The dragon nations come out of Saudi Arabia. And what are they still doing? Taking over the world.
Yep.
They took over the entire Middle East, of which most was Christian. They tried to ply their ways into Europe until the Crusades came and stopped them multiple times. They stopped an invasion from Baal, from Hubal, and the followers of Hubal, who live by the sword, who want to dominate, take over. And now what are we doing all across the Western world? We're just inviting them in.
Yep.
He has deceived the whole world.
Not just taking them in, giving them.
And who's he going after? Now he's going after her children, those who have the testimony of Messiah and keep the commandments.
Yep.
That's us, brother.
Yep.
That's believers. So all of a sudden, full circle. I know it's a lot of information, and we really didn't even get into a lot of the details. We'll do that. I'm going to get into the whole thing on Islam and some of its origins, because I think we need a refresher course on this. We need to be able to understand it. And while my heart breaks for the people that are involved in Islam, and I really do pray that Yah opens their eyes, and we certainly hear things coming out of like countries like Iran, where that seems to be happening in a very spontaneous and supernatural way. Praise Yah, because you know what? Those nations were already believers at one point.
Yeah.
And so,
exactly.
I'd love for them to come back in Egypt and in Turkey and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera.
Every tribe and every tongue, right?
Yeah, no, I want them. So this is not about the people, but Hubal or Allah.
Yep.
That's not Elohim. That's not the God of Abraham, Isaac. He's morphed himself. He's hidden himself. He's disguised himself in the clothing of the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And even for the people, right? It's the same thing as the leaders in the times of Messiah. They were leading the blind into a ditch, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So crazy stuff, huh?
Yeah.
And it's happening right in front of us.
All around us, all over the world right now.
All over the world. It's happening in my neighborhood. It's happening in our city. It's happening in our country. It's happening in our towns. It's happening all over Europe. It's happening everywhere. But it's only happening in the Western world. In the world that was at one point predominantly Christian, just to use that term, which is no longer. And so it seems like the dragon's winning in that particular sense. Sad, huh?
Yeah.
Scary,
really
sad.
Yeah.
This is something we need to look at.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on as we move forward prophetically.
Amen, bro.
So there we go.
Good topic.
Baal and Islam. Yeah, it's a deep one. And there's so much more we could share on it. But, we only got so much time, and I didn't want to make it too long. Neat stuff.
Yep.
All right.
At the end of the day, if you can research stuff outside of your AI, do it.
Yeah, don't trust your AI with everything.
Don't trust your AI. Yeah. Been learning
I mean,
a lot.
it is good for a lot of things, but
it can make you up a nice diet plan. It can make you up a nice workout, but
but you still got to do the workout. You still got to do the diet. So
and it remembers forever. Oh my goodness, I did that 3 months ago.
Well, we got to have a conversation about AI.
Oh yeah,
really, because that's another prophetic thing that's happening right in front of us. So maybe I don't know if we'll pick it up next week, but one of these weeks we got to really talk about AI and its relationship. Because I was always under the impression, it can't be all that. It can't be a market. It's got to be something else. And all of a sudden, the closer and closer we get to this, like anything else, the closer and closer you get to it, the more and more clear it becomes.
Yeah.
And it's becoming crystal clear, boy. We are being set up.
Yeah, I've learned things that are ahead of us. We speculate because we don't have, but things that are behind us, we
with some certainty.
Yeah. So I agree, man. Like we said before, we're not always right, but now that you see things up and close and right before us, some big things going to be happening soon. So
if we are where we believe we are, we're going to start to see them for sure.
Yep. Yep.
All right, brother. Why don't you close us out?
All right, bro. Well, quick. I wanted to know what you any insight for tomorrow.
I'm actually I got two things that I've been working on because I really wanted to get into some end times like resurrection, rapture, the order of events. So I'm still debating. I got two different things going on, and so we'll leave it up in the air for tomorrow. But I'm sort of leaning 70% towards because I had somebody do a little bit of research for me. I've been trying to get into some information, try to see all the different angles that there are to see about what quote unquote rapture or resurrection, Daniel's 70 weeks, all that type of stuff. So we might go that direction. I don't know. You guys have to stay tuned tomorrow to find out for sure.
Good. And last thing, I don't want to beat it like a drum, but in the church app, under the offering, we I think this is the last week. We're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
This is the last week. If you haven't, just check it out. If I'm not telling you have to, but if Yah puts it upon your heart, again, it's for a girl, Sophia. She's a teenager that's suffering really bad with cancer, and we're just trying to help out her family. So again, it just says for Sophia under the offering titles. So check it out because this is going to be the last week, and then after that, that's it. We're going to send it to the family.
Yep.
But thank you. Thank you.
All right. We love you guys.
Thank you for the opportunity, brother. I love you, man.
Yep. Peace to everybody. Shabbat shalom. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Shabbat shalom.